Hello there guys, and welcome back to another episode of VGC Off The Record. We're trying this live for the first time. Fingers crossed you can hear us, you can see us. If you can't, you're probably not missing too much because I've made an absolute technical nightmare of this so far. Sorry that we're a little bit delayed as well. But we had to try this live because last night, of course, was a special occasion. PlayStation, they hit back. The Empire Strikes Back. And that's a relevant reference, actually, unintentionally, because of a game that we're going to talk about today as well. But anyway, if you don't know, this is VGC Off The Record. Of course, we try and deal with all the facts over on the site and so on, but sometimes it's good to have a good old waffle about our opinions and all the takes from the latest news across the video game industry. And don't forget as well, you can also check out us on a podcast version as well on all the major podcast providers. And as well, for the first time, we're on Twitch. Yep, you can find our Twitch and Mr. Chris Scullion alongside me. We're streaming the other day Sonic Colors Ultimate. You can find our Twitch in the link in the description below. What's the handle again? Is it VGC_live?
It is indeed VGC_live. Well worth a follow, as they say in the trade.
Go and give it a follow. That's the catchphrase. That's what Ninja says, isn't it? I'm pretty certain. Well worth a follow on your movie poster, on your Twitch movie poster. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Let us know, obviously, in the live YouTube comments if this looks and sounds crystal clear. Fingers crossed it will be. Something will go wrong at some point, and if so, don't blame me, it's my birthday. As you can see, the balloons behind me as well. Big shout out to the wife this morning, getting up and decorating. It's a happy birthday thing behind my head and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But nice. Thank you very much, man. I still wanted to go live today though and try all this because it's a load of fun. Didn't get a brew beforehand though, so rookie mistake there. But guys, what have you got? You on brand?
Yeah, I'm brewed.
On brand, of course. I'm doing that thing where I've got a cup, but it looks like tea, but it's actually just cordial in a cup because I couldn't find any. Why is he frowned upon if you have juice in a cup? But it is for some reason, but you know, I never know.
Crazy days.
Crazy days. How are you anyway? You good? This is the tired old hack himself, of course, Chris Scullion, alongside me.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired is the operative word today because it's been a pretty busy couple of weeks. Our news editor Tom Ivan had a baby. Not him, literally.
Wow, I'm about to say, man. It's impressive.
That'd been headline news in itself. But no, yeah. So he's been off obviously on paternity leave, and rightfully so. So we kind of been manning the news for. So it's been a long period, especially with Sony. But but I'm still kind of really happy with all the kind of the news that came last night, and so
it's good fun, wasn't it?
A tired but happy old hack.
You're tired but happy old hack. Of course, as well, what I say, by the way, big up Chris for the Twitch stream the other day. It was really good. Look, it was great, man. I really enjoyed it. And go and check it out, obviously. Hopefully, maybe I'll be over there one day. I don't know, but either way, it's good fun. And there'll be plenty more coming from that. I keep looking at the wrong camera because I've got two in front of me. I apologise for that. But today, of course, there's only really one place we can actually touch. It has to be the PlayStation Showcase. I want to say, by the way, quickly, I forgot that we're live, so hello to everyone in the chat, and to Thomas there as well in the chat as well, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel, and don't forget as well, you can find it on the podcast providers afterwards. But we're going to start, and we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 Showcase reveal last night. It was a necessary show, actually, wasn't it, for Sony, if we're being honest, given the fact that, I think it's fair to say, I mean this in the best possible way, Xbox has been killing it. They really have. All the positivity around it, the way they've handled the transition into the next gen. There's been, I wouldn't say disasters because, I mean, ultimately people forget, but there's been a few PR, problems, I would say, for Sony, how they handle, for example, the upgrade for Forbidden West, obviously the Horizon sequel and things like that, and lots of we believe in generations talk, and then, but that game's going to be on PS4, and all, which is fine in itself initially, but there's been a lot of kind of little stories like that that plagued the launch of this PS5, and of course, as well, the availability issues. So last night, I think it's fair to say, given the Xbox positivity, how they've handled, they needed a big night, didn't they? Is that a fair summation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, that Sony's definitely been in the bad books more than the good books in recent months, and especially because they weren't present at E3. It basically gave Xbox a kind of an open goal to just say, okay, well, here's what we've got, and they absolutely drilled the ball into the net.
Good finish, man, wasn't it? Good finish.
It was a good finish.
Yeah, decent.
So it, for a while now, it's been basically Xbox has been on a roll, and so everyone's been looking at Sony saying, right, so what have you got? And last night I think was the start of their kind of response. I'm not entirely convinced it's the complete message yet. Because as fantastic, and I'm sure we'll get to this later, as fantastic as the show was, and it was fantastic, there's still, when you look at it all written down on paper, it still wasn't a hell of a lot in the grand scheme of things, especially considering like one or two of those games was going into 2023. So it was certainly a fantastic start of a comeback.
That's the question, I guess, isn't it? I mean, I think it's fair to say on paper, as it was football, and I'd like to say on paper, it was a good showcase. It was clearly, some people would say a very good showcase, an excellent showcase. Mm-hmm. But I guess showcases like this are all about context, aren't they? They're all about the timing, and they're all about the story that they need to tell in that moment. And I guess the question we're going to try and answer, or at least discuss today, was Sony's story today, timing, was it as strong as it needed to be given everything going on with Sony at the moment? But let's remove emotion and context from it, but we'll come back to that in a bit. This was a good showcase, right? I mean, it was a good showcase. It was interesting. There was a variety of games which we'll run through, of course. It definitely ended with a few bangers. I mean, I would have liked to have seen some gameplay for a couple of them as well, but I mean, this is... they're definitely not slowing down on the big first-party bangers, especially considering the fact that some big names weren't really present as well. You know, some studios, they kind of were. Naughty Dog kind of were with, the Uncharted remaster. But, I guess the point I'm making is, like, people like that, they weren't there, and of course, as well, obviously they're busy. The Ghost of Tsushima developers have totally Sucker Punch. They weren't, now saying for news. So there's obviously more to come from their first-party studios in terms of next gen. This was still, it was a success, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was a strong one, and it's exactly the sort of presentation I like to see. PlayStation haven't been, I suppose they have for a while with their state of play videos, but at numerous times in the past, Sony have been guilty of too much waffle and not enough gameplay, and Microsoft did that with the last.
Like us right now, I guess, maybe.
With us, and Xbox did that with the last one recently. Although, to be fair, they set us up with that one, saying don't expect much, because we didn't get much. We got 10 minutes on a documentary about a trebuchet. But the Xbox one at E3 and most of Nintendo's ones and Sony's one last night was exactly how I like my presentations to go, where they just go bang, 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 game, and every now and then you'll get a talking head for 2 minutes saying we're excited about this game, and then they just show you the next game. And as far as I'm concerned, if you keep that going for 40 minutes, which they did last night, then that's a successful run, a successful presentation as far as I'm concerned. Even if people aren't necessarily sold on every single game shown, the hope is that there's enough there that a wide enough audience will see at least a few things and go, oh, that's for me.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's very easy to watch a showcase like this for your own selfish eyes and go, oh, I want everything to be about me and be for me, but we forget, not everything's going to be your cup of tea, which is totally fine, So to me, it definitely ticks those boxes. Where do you want to start, man? We can jump over and bring up a trailer or so. What was your highlight for last night? Don't say something I haven't got already lined up. You can do, but I'll find it.
The highlight for me last night was probably Spider-Man.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2, I should say. Purely because the Venom thing, like it later emerged that Venom is being voiced by Tony Todd, who plays Candyman. And I'm a big kind of horror movie buff, so the idea of Tony Todd being Venom is one that appeals to me. So
that's news to me. That sounds interesting.
That extremely niche reason. That's why I was most excited by that.
Do you know what? We all find our reasons, don't we? I'm gonna hopefully now I've switched over to the other scene. Hopefully you can see the trailer in the background now, guys. And it might be a little bit quiet because I've turned it down because I think Chris is competing with the audio channels on my thing. But the trailer is playing now. Just a graphic trailer, but I think that's probably all we could reasonably expect, right? Given everything at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, especially because they're talking about it being out in 2023. So I would imagine that. It's at a very, very early stage at this point, and obviously Miles Morales was in there to kind of to make the wait less lengthy, to fit something else in there, just to keep Spider-Man fans busy. But now they're in for another couple of years, I think, until we finally get the full proper Spider-Man 2. So I was only expecting a CG trailer at this point, no gameplay, so that's kind of what we've got. But it looks apart. It's nice CG.
It's beautiful CG.
I can't remember if the trailer said, because we can't you can see the trailer, but I can't just now. The streaming, whether it said it's actually captured on PS5, because some of them were saying that at the bottom. And if it is, that usually just means an engine, but not necessarily gameplay.
I think it did say that. I'm pretty certain it did.
Well, that's good then, because that basically just means it will look that good. It just won't necessarily look like that when you're playing it.
Let me just go double check. Did it say captured on PS5? It does. It's footage captured on PS5.
Oh. And as Delicious Lemons is saying in the chat, there's lots of interesting stuff in just that one trailer. You had the Iron Spider, you had Venom, you had Craven. I can't pretend I'm an enormous Spider-Man devotee where I know like the ins and outs of it, but I'm well enough into it that I know.
Yeah.
No Venom, at least I know Craven and all that.
Venom's a good baddie, isn't he? Like, I know that sounds really obvious, but he is. There's something about Venom. It's visceral, and like I think in general, like my only problem, I enjoy all the Marvel stuff, but sometimes you want someone who's just a bit naughty, you know what I mean? And that's the simplest way I can put it. And like, there is an element of aggression and ferocity to Venom, which is it's fun. It's kind of fun, and there is definitely that element to him, element to him as a character. I can't wait to see it. I mean, obviously, I think it's. I don't look. Spoilers here for anyone who hasn't played Spider-Man 1. You've got like 2 seconds to go away, and then I'm going to start talking in 3, 2, 1. I'm pretty certain they teed this up, didn't you, at the end of the first Spider-Man game? Didn't you see his son there? I think it was Harry was there, wasn't he, at the back? I think hanging around in some kind of like. So I think like they've been teasing this for a while, but I mean, obviously Insomniac are just absolutely killing it at the moment as well. Like their work rate, and they're repping it, you know, and in at the moment, like banger after banger. Insomniac by name, Insomniac by nature, because they mustn't be sleeping to get all these games going down.
Well, here's a prediction for you as well, and obviously this wasn't confirmed last night, but remember this conversation when it ends up being true, or ultimately forget it if it ends up not being true, and don't bring it up again. But I think it's going to have online co-op.
Ooh, that's a big one, man. That's a big shout.
When you consider the trailer showed both Spider-Man and Miles Morales teaming up together, and when you also consider that recently Insomniac listed some job adverts looking for people to join the team to work on multiplayer games, and especially those who know about melee-based combat, and that Insomniac haven't done a multiplayer game for a while, I wonder if they're hiring people to work on some sort of multiplayer / co-op thing in Spider-Man 2 to let people play as both Spider-Man and Miles Morales at the same time.
That's interesting.
Again,
I thought it was going to be like a GTA 5 kind of thing where you could switch between the characters. I thought it was going to be that.
Possibly. I would have thought that as well. That more just the fact that the trailer at one point showed them both.
Yeah.
Made me think.
Yeah, I mean, there'll definitely be. I mean, yeah. I mean, I wonder it'll be if that'd be fantastic. I mean, not that I've got the powers to play it with, you know, like that would be fantastic. But I also like the idea of, you know, that once again switching like GTA 5 style and kind of switching around all that kind of stuff, and potentially as well like the idea of them being alongside you in battles, and then you can switch to them in the way that you can, you know, in many games where why is it the first game that came to mind? It was Lego games, you know, you press triangle and they jump over. I'm sure there's many more legitimate examples than that, but that is the first thing that came to my head there. But either way, this is I mean, it's gonna be a banger. It'll be brilliant. I want to see. This is one thing for me about Spider-Man in general, by the way. It's like, how did he get away from New York? Because New York is the most perfect city in the world, with, you know, the obviously the high buildings for webs, but the same map. Isn't that going to be a bit boring again for the third game in the row potentially?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do there, because well, you can't change New York. So yeah, it looks like, based on, not that the trailer could have shown us that much, we only saw like a couple of bits of scenery, but it looks like they're still in a kind of New Yorky place, so maybe they're just going to go stuff it. We're going to stick with it and just improve lots of bits, because I mean, Miles Morales didn't feel like it was a chore going through the kind of the same city, so maybe they'll just kind of they'll tweak it enough.
I must admit though, to be slightly contrarian, it didn't feel like a chore, but I definitely didn't have the same sense of adventure, because I felt like I knew the place inside out. And that's a personal thing. For games to me are very much about exploration, you know, and I know New York anyway personally, I haven't been there, but it's like I can't go back to the Breath of the Wild again, for example, because I know the map too well, and I can go back to it, but it definitely loses a bit for me knowing it so well. So I do. Yeah. Let's see what they do. It'll be interesting. Either way, it's going to be a cracking game, surely.
Some interesting points being brought up in the chat here. Danger Man 1337, which I'm assuming is a pseudonym for Leet, as the kids used to say back in the day.
You're so down with the kids, man. One episode on
says,
Twitch, and all of a sudden you're down with the noob speak.
What can I say? I'm very much with it. It says, I wonder if Spider-Man 2 will be the final Spider-Man game by Insomniac, like God of War Ragnarok will be the second and final Norse God of War. I think Danger Man's thinking that with the Wolverine announcement, the Insomniac might be kind of drawing a line under Spider-Man with that one, and then and moving on. And also James Jones saying that they'd seen that some people think Venom might be a third playable character.
Oh, that would be fun.
It'd be fun. It would make sense because obviously he's a kind of anti-hero. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. And it would also kind of give more credence to the multiplayer theory in that maybe it could also be competitive as well as cooperative. So
I would take Venom as a playable character. It's always good battering people as a badass, and not in, obviously fictionally, not in real life, because I'm definitely not a badass, so that doesn't count to me. One game you'll definitely get to do plenty of that in, and I'll jump back over to the trailer screen. Is this game? You may have heard of Mr. Wolverine. This is exciting, man. It's a Wolverine trailer. I did not see that coming. But me and my missus were sat last night going, what games could they actually use, for superheroes that would lend itself to, well, thought Superman, yeah, it kind of works, but it's been done a little bit and all that kind of stuff, and we were thinking what else could work, and then neither of us thought of Wolverine, but this is this is perfect, isn't it, Wolverine, for a video game, and it's going to be, he's a badass, he's great fun. Where you at with this? I mean, this was a hype moment. I proper whoa out loud when this happened.
Yeah, I'm well for it. I mean, I saw it coming because I knew. but
I love how you didn't tell me. You kept it quiet, by the way. You chatted me the other day. I was like, he's like, oh, some superhero stuff. Wise.
Yeah. It's definitely was the big announcement because it was the main. Like Spider-Man 2, you go, okay, well that makes sense. So people were like, oh yeah, Spider-Man 2, but it wasn't like, what? They're making a Spider-Man 2? It's like, of course we're making a Spider-Man 2. Of course but Wolverine was the one game from last night that made everyone go, oh, well, I didn't even consider that. So that was the big shock. And again, granted, they showed less than they even showed for Spider-Man. It was literally him sitting in a bar and going like that with his claws, but that's enough to get people.
It is enough, isn't it?
Yeah, when it comes out in 2028, I'm sure it'll be brilliant.
You're right. It'll be miles away, but I've got to say, genuinely, it's. As Alien said as well, decided Wolverine could be an emotional story game. It really could. Logan, by the way, not that you need to know if you're watching this, you've probably seen it. Logan's a masterpiece. It's genuinely a fantastic film. I put that up there as a nearly perfect film for storytelling, for visual. It's a story about a man weathering and getting old. It's not a superhero story. It's about a guy dealing with mortality and aging and so on. And this is the kind of game that could really lend itself to obviously being fantastically fun to play, but also having that emotional resonance that you want from big blockbuster games these days, which I think Sony are getting better at as well. Insomniac. I thought Spider-Man was good, actually. I thought the story was good. I really enjoyed that take on Spider-Man as a character, as an individual. I felt emotional resonance as well at the end of the story. Once again, I'm not trying to spoil it, but if you've seen it, sad bit happens, and I was like, oh, that really got to me a lot more than I thought it would do. So this, I want to see what they do with it. I want to see what they do with this take on Wolverine. Here's a question for you. Will it be mature rated? Because I feel it has to be. But will they go there because it's Insomniac?
Yeah, they kind of have to, don't they?
They have to, surely.
I don't think it'll be as big an issue as I think we might consider it to be, because I mean Sony's already kind of shown it has no qualms with bringing out stuff like Last of Us and God of War and kind of quite
Days Gone,
stuff.
Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that.
And I don't see Wolverine being the sort of IP that kids would run out to play with, because maybe later, maybe when X-Men becomes part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but for now, X-Men has always struck me as a kind of teen adult.
It's probably more R-rated, isn't it? It's not. I wouldn't say,
because we grew up with it.
Yeah.
Whereas kids and teens aren't maybe as familiar with X-Men and Wolverine, so I'd imagine they're okay with it. That's going to be gory. It's got to be blood in it, surely.
There has to be. I want to impale people, man, with those claws. I sometimes I've got some repressed issues. I'm a very happy man, but in general, but if you're playing a Wolverine game, you want to feel like a badass, don't you? You have to be. I mean, what's the point of a Wolverine game without? I mean, to be fair, what I will say, the trailer, there was blood everywhere, literally all over that bar. It was drenched, and he looked worn down. A tired Logan is the best Logan always. When he's just definitely. you want him in bar fights and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Obviously, we can't really go anywhere else other than God of War next. I'll get this trailer playing in the background. This looks beautiful. I mean, it goes without saying, the team over Santa Monica, they know what they're doing graphically. This is possibly the prettiest game I have seen so far, I would say, next gen. I mean, even this is captured on PS5 as well, this trailer. It looks absolutely astonishingly beautiful, as you'd expect, of course, as well from a God of War game these days. They know what they're doing. And how was your general vibe? I mean, it was a good trailer, I thought. I mean, I was excited. I thought
it was a great trailer. It's I have to confess, the last God of War is one that's on my backlog still. I'm still kind of catching up on a lot of last gen stuff, and that's very much one of them. But that was kind of pushed itself up to the front of my list now because I want to get it out of the way. So
it looks beautiful, by the way. They've already got, I think, it might just be checkerboard 4K, but they've got 4K already on the PS5 of this, and it looks as good as anything I've played already. Still, the
only thing that gives me pause, and again, as someone who's not played the original, I'm probably not the best person to pass judgment on this yet. But the one thing they mentioned on the PlayStation blog afterwards was that the previous game, I'm reading from VGC here and pretending I know what I'm talking about. Ragnarok has 9 realms, and in the last game, players could visit 6 of them. And in this game, they can visit all 9 of them.
Yep.
So 3 of them will be brand new areas, but the previous 6 they're saying will be the same areas as the previous game, but with kind of some new bits in it. So it may be another kind of Spider-Man New York situation, where it's like how much of this game's going to feel familiar. At least a third of it is going to feel brand new.
It does aesthetically, looking at it. That's the thing I got from it last night. As I said, that looks like God of War, and what I mean by that in terms of the environments and the locales, they look very similar. I think they left off some of the areas from Norse mythology that are possibly some of the most interesting as well, and they were always there teased as you get to them eventually from the realms and so on. I mean, the moment-to-moment gameplay is fantastic. It's just so satisfying, so crunchy, and there'll obviously be a PS5 enhancements as well to it. I mean, fidelity-wise, it looks incredible. I would say play it. I mean, I think mainly because the story is so strong as well. And I definitely feel like if you're going to go into the second one, you probably should play this because the link between Kratos and Atreus' lad. It's so integral to, I presume, looking at the trailer, to the second story. So, and also as well, of course, it's free, right? I think you can download it, can't you? On as a PS4 game on the PS5. So, I thought it looked incredible. I was really hyped for it. It looks one thing as well. I keep doing. I'm not sure everyone else has done this, but I always go back and watch the trailers again afterwards because you play in like 1080, don't you, kind of on the stream, and the 4K had so much fidelity, and it changes the whole feel, the whole thing. This is we didn't get a release date, by the way. Surprised by that or?
A wee bit.
I'm surprised by it personally
because they're at the stage where they're confirming that it's on PS5 and PS4, and not that that's in to go by, but usually when you're at that stage and they're naming the formats, you hope it's kind of some way soon. And also the fact that it is a PS4 game as well makes you think it can't be that far away, because surely there comes a point where they start drawing a line under PS4. But, it looks like PS4 is still going to be supported for quite a while. If this is going to be early next year,
that install base is huge, isn't it? They can't turn it away.
But if this is going to be early 2022, they would have said early 2022 or March or whatever. But instead, that you've got to think this is maybe the summer at the earliest.
When was GTA 7? Was it March? Was it? Have I made that up?
GTA is March.
But when's Horizon as well? Horizon, is it February? Is it?
I think February maybe.
So I wonder if they feel like they've got the early next year and spring period covered, because there's a couple other games as well that were announced around the time, wasn't they? Which we'll get to.
I was actually saying this to Andy last night as we were working on the coverage. Like at some point we need to stop and count how many games have been stated for a March release now, because it seems like it's going to be. I'm assuming that some of them will get delayed, but it sounds like it's going to be the busiest March of all time, because there's a lot of big titles now, especially after last night. Like Grand Theft Auto getting pushed to March, Gran Turismo coming out in March.
Yeah.
March is a busy month by the looks of it. But I don't know if March is just something that it's just a far enough date that a lot of publishers just kind of kick a game into March.
Yeah, it's thrown into March.
Yeah.
It's not too early in 2022 to get away with it, and it gives them enough time to delay it a little bit. Chris is already a little quiet compared to. Oh, sorry, but the wife's in the chat.
So I'm turning the gain up.
Oh, okay, there, Chris is turning up. Either way, this game, I've got it on loop still on there in the background. I think God of War is going to be fantastic. I'm very, very excited for God of War. I think it'll be brilliant. We know it's aesthetically a wonderful game. The first game, the first game of the reboot, absolutely fantastic, and fantastic. Oh, I just keep saying the word fantastic. It's an incredible game. Next on the list, what else have we got to talk about? Anything else that jumped out for you personally?
Gran Turismo, I noticed that Danger Man just mentioned that, so that might be a good segue. It says, although segues aren't confirmed for Gran Turismo, I should say they're fairly slow vehicles.
You just jumped in volume massively then. Oh, it's gone. No, it's back again. Go for it.
Is that okay now?
Yeah, you went about 400 times louder briefly. It was weird.
That's a shame because it was a great joke, and now it's been ruined.
Go on. Say it again. I wasn't listening. Go for it.
The joke was basically that it's not going to be as funny the second time. Is it Danger Man 1337 / Danger Man Leet was mentioning Gran Turismo 7, saying they were surprised it's coming out in March, and my point was that would be a good segue into talking about Gran Turismo 7, but also that segways themselves are not vehicles in Gran Turismo 7 because it'd be too slow.
Yeah, you're right. I've ruined it, haven't I? I appreciate the effort. Like it's my fault for ruining it. I definitely.
No, if anything, it's to find people at Yeti Blue Mic Corporation's fault for suddenly spiking the audio.
Joe once, true story about Yeti. I mean, lovely people over Yeti, but they had a mic that was messing up so much with Yeti. Like, I had one particular mic, it was a Raspberry mic, and it messed up. And they just never got back to me. The customer service is so terrible that I decided to write to the CEO of a company. I just found him on LinkedIn. I was like, "Guy, I'm sure your staff are lovely and overworked, so on, but it's been 6 months and no one's replying to me ever about anything." So they sent me £400 of mics for free. That was years ago. It was really nice to him. I was like, "Oh, thank you." And the CEO replied saying, "Like, I'm not that guy, by the way, ever, but it's the one time a button had been pushed." I was like, "Come on!" Like, you explain yourself about 20 times to customer service and they never get back to you. So I was really impressed with how they handled that. So that's a true story there. Yeah. I apologise to Blue Yeti but they handled it very well in the end. So it was probably some poor customer service staff, completely overworked or something like that. Anyway, over to GT7. That was the most partridge anecdote in my life. It's all true though. GT7. What was your take on this? Weirdly, I feel like it slowed the momentum of the actual showcase.
Yeah, which is strange, but
for a racing car game, yeah.
Especially because that's probably the one I'm most excited about. Like, I'm not a petrol head by any stretch of the imagination, but I've always loved racing games anyway. Despite that, video games are the one kind of area in which I do suddenly get interested about racing. So this is the one I've been kind of looking forward to for a while, and obviously we've got Forza Horizon 5 out later this year. And it's going to be interesting, even though they're two completely different games, and comparing them for now until the proper Forza comes out, whenever that's going to be, comparing them both. But it's certainly, again, when you go back and watch the trailer now that it's on kind of YouTube in a better resolution, it looks phenomenal. I think
it looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Absolutely gorgeous.
The March release date again is a bit okay.
The dump it month. That's what it is.
The dump, yeah, it's going into the March dump. But other than that, I'm definitely up for it, especially because they've been promising that Polyphonic's promising that it's going to be a proper full-length Gran Turismo game and not one of these prologue things where they just stick some like 200 cars in it. The only thing I want to wait and see is they've been guilty in the past of only doing high-res cars for some of the cars, and then just to get the number of cars up, they've been importing cars from older versions of Gran Turismo.
You can't get away with that now, I don't think.
No, and essentially it means that some of the cars look great, and then some of the cars look noticeably horrible. They're
you can't do that now. There's no way you can do that now.
They can't do that this year, especially now that Forza just announced earlier this week. Oh, here's the first 420 cars that are going to be in Forza.
It's social media as well in this era, social media this era, and it's a PS5 flagship game. They can't get away with low poly res cars. I mean, it won't be that bad, obviously, but they just can't. I mean, surely, especially with the delay as well, because at one point, it was meant to be a lot earlier. It looks beautiful. I mean, I am not. I wouldn't say I'm a racing sim kind of person. This is obviously more sim. I'm definitely more of the Forza, the Dirt kind of games where they're a little bit more just arcadey and a little bit more fun. But this definitely intrigues me. It'll be the first GT game I play for an awful long time, and I will play it because it looks gorgeous. It looks great fun. And to be honest, it's good. It's just good to see another first-party PlayStation game with a release date at the moment. And obviously, as you said, the start of next year looks really, really stacked. I want to talk about Forspoken, actually, personally, if that's all right, because I liked this. I thought it looked really, really good. I don't know, something about it. I think this is what Square Enix are saying is their most beautiful open-world game ever. Did this get a release date? I can't remember. I didn't get my notes up in front of me.
I'm not sure it did. To be honest, I was writing a story while that one was on, so that's one I haven't yet gone back to look at.
Oh, okay.
So
well,
you might want to lead this one.
If you want to go over to our YouTube live stream, be able to watch it and see the trailer anyway. You can do that. But this game, open world game, young lady set in New York. Moves to a magical mystery world. It's the one that was called Project Athia, I think. Do you remember that? Pretty certain it was that one. Yeah. I think pretty certain it was Project Athia. It looks a lot like the world looks a lot like Final Fantasy 15's world with the crazy world shapes going on the map and so on. It looks fantastic. It's got it's got all your particle effects that are so common in these days in this era because they look beautiful and obviously all the processor units can compete with that. The lady's got a little bit of fun to it. I like her. The main character, she seems class. A lot of energy to her. Also, I'm pretty certain she's wearing Shang-Chi's rings on her wrist. I'm pretty certain that they didn't realise that was about to be a thing because she's got these rings on her arm that talk to her. Who's the guy who plays Vision? He's a famous actor. Vision in the...
English guy.
English guy, yeah.
Paul Bettany?
Yeah, I swear it's Paul Bettany. Someone confirm in the comments if you don't mind. I swear Paul Bettany's voicing her, her AI guy, her pal next to her who guides her through the world. It sounds an awful lot like him, which is fantastic, by the way. I'm all for Paul Bettany in general.
Do you know why I know Paul Bettany? Why I know it's Paul Bettany, and this is sad. Paul Bettany is the star of my favourite, guiltiest of all guilty pleasures, which is the hit motion picture Wimbledon starring Kristen Dunst.
I have not seen that. I know it, but is it actually good?
No, it's terrible. But for some reason I like it, because he's like her love interest in it, but he seems significantly older because she's meant to be like a young up and coming like 19, 20-year-old tennis player, and he acts like he's like 45, and it's a strange movie, but
it's a creepy Paul Bettany. Basically.
Yeah, oddly compelling, creepy Paul Bettany, young Kirsten Dunst. Even though she wasn't that young when they made it, but that's the gimmick. But sorry, that's
it's better than my. I tried to email the CEO of Blue Yeti, whatever that story. This game looks really, really good. Genuinely, it looks fantastic fun. Obviously, it depends on how the gameplay holds up. It depends if it's a generic open world game, if we've seen and experienced it before or not. But I like it. It looks fun. It looks beautiful. I'm hoping it's Paul Bettany. I need someone to confirm that. Some people say it does sound like him in the chat. Danger Man said that. I don't know if it is. Let me just quickly Google it. I do know the gentleman off Kind of Funny, Gary Whitta, obviously Rogue One writer. He's written this, I think. I'm just googling Paul Bettany now. Is it Paul Bettany? A lot of people saying it sounds like him. I don't know if it's him or not, but either way, someone's doing a cracking impression if it is, but if it isn't Paul Bettany.
I'll do my special investigative journalist work right after this chat and go and find out. Once this stream's over, I'll go looking for confirmation or otherwise.
Appreciate it, man. Are you a Star Wars fan, Mr. Scullion?
Yeah, I try to be.
Are you a Knights of the Old Realm fan? That's of the Old Republic. Sorry, Knights of the Old Republic.
That one passed me by back in the day, but when I was
younger, I know it's a big deal, isn't it?
Now I like my kind of RPG type stuff, but back then I was ignorant to the genre.
Ignorant young boys, weren't we?
Exactly. Fools, damn fools. But yeah, I'm pumped, as they say, for the remake. Though I'm definitely up for
this is it was. I mean, I know this means an awful lot to a lot of people, doesn't it? Like Jenny, when did this come out? The original?
You're talking
2003. Is that right?
Xbox era, yeah, definitely.
See, I think the reason I didn't play it is because it was Xbox. Wasn't it?
I think so. I think it was the original Xbox.
Yeah, and I never had an Xbox, so I think that's the reason I never played it.
Tell me in the chat if I'm talking crap. I'm pretty sure it was out in the original Xbox.
Yeah, I've just googled it. It thinks like it does, but I never had the original Xbox. So I was always PlayStation and Nintendo until then. And you did when you were young, you did choose a console, didn't you? I mean, obviously a lot of people still do, but obviously we work within games, so we have all of them. But like in general, I had the choice, and I was Nintendo and PlayStation. Yeah, Nicola said yes. Special journalist powers. Is it actually Paul Bettany, Nicola? Let me know in the chat. The wife started watching in the other room as well. But either way, I mean, this is a hype moment for a lot of people. Genuinely, like this, a lot of people are very very excited about this game. Another remake? Does it? I mean, are we? Is that a bad thing, or is it? Is
No,
it?
it's not a bad thing. I'm curious to see whether it's I know it says remake in the title, but how much it's remade. It's been handled by Aspire, who have done some kind of Star Wars remasters and more, I would say, in the past. Like they recently
Yeah.
remastered Episode 1 Racer and stuff like that. And those looked more like kind of remasters than remakes. So I'm curious to see exactly how far they go with this, whether they're just going to up-res the hell out of it, or whether we're talking new character models, new textures, maybe even new voice acting. So we'll need to wait and see what happens. But I don't mind. I don't mind remakes of games that are that old. It's stuff like Uncharted. I'm less excited about, even though, like, granted, that's a remaster, not a remake. Stuff like Final Fantasy, I'm all for, like Final Fantasy VII and Knights of the Old
Yeah,
Republic,
yeah.
because enough time has passed where you can go, this was a great game in 2003. Let's see how it can be done with today's modern visuals. Uncharted 4 instead feels to me more like a, here's something to fill the calendar while we spend time working on our 2023 games.
It didn't. I don't want to be selfish, but yeah, it already looked beautiful anyway. Uncharted 4, and I played it again recently, and it looked incredible. I mean, I got a new TV, that one over there last year, and playing it again on a lovely TV, and even though it wasn't upscale to 4K or anything like that, it still looked amazing when I played it back on my PS5. And so I do wonder, like, I do wonder if I mean, the trailer, I watched it back. I barely could tell the difference. I'm not going to say that. I couldn't really see the upscaling.
It's the sort of thing, and again, I just noticed a mark in my face, but I think it's just a shadow.
No.
If I'm being really cynical here, which I rarely am, I'm usually quite an enlightened soul. It feels like the sort of thing they could have patched PS5 enhancements into it. Like Xbox does, and like Sony have done in the past with games as well. It feels like
feedback and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it feels like they could have just done that, and if they want to charge a tenner for it, fine. As opposed to completely re-releasing it, because, like you say, if you're going from a PS4 game to a PS5 game, the difference is going to be negligible.
I do wonder.
There will be difference, and I'm sure they'll.
More things like ray tracing, because that would make a difference in some of the reflections and light in the water, especially the water effects. You could do a lot with that, because there's a lot of times when Nate's absolutely drenched, isn't he, and so on, and it could look incredible.
Yeah. But as Delicious Lemons has just said, it feels like the Uncharted remaster would come as a free update on Xbox.
It's a fair comment as well. Fair comment.
It feels like the sort of thing they would just add Series X enhancements to, where they would add HDR if it didn't already have it, which I can't remember if the original one already had HDR, and bump up the resolution and frame rate, and job done. That would be enough for most people. So I don't know. Obviously, it's too early. I need to actually play it and start putting them side by side to see if it's a big enough difference. But it would take a bit of convincing for me to believe that it's a full price difference.
Yeah. I'm not convinced either, personally. It doesn't feel like that kind of thing, does it? Looking through what else was announced, of course, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, the Borderlands game. I'm not really a fan, personally.
It was like we were saying earlier, like we can't have everything our way. Like, I despise that character. But there are plenty of people who love her, so I'm happy for them.
It was nice as well to see the Alan Wake remastered. I liked, by the way, it was a good touch. Good touch letting the fan site announce it the day before. I really like stuff like that. If you don't know, Alan Wake Remasters was announced by a big Alan Wake fan site, which is it's just nice to see them get the credit, because obviously these fans keep these projects alive, and the reason we're getting a remastered site is because of people like them who keep that flame going. That looks nice, obviously not just nice and upscaled, not a full-on remake, but it looked lovely as well.
Yeah, you can tell it doesn't look incredible by today's standards, but it looks enough of a difference that I tried to play the 360 one recently, and obviously, like, standards change over time, and I adored the 360 one back in the day, but even back then the 360 one felt a bit blurry, because of the kind of they had a lot of kind of blur effects and kind of ghosty stuff. So playing it recently, it's just like it really didn't hold up well. So this looks like enough. Just visually, in terms of gameplay, it was totally fine, and the story is always great. So this will be just enough for me to kind of get back into it. I loved Alan Wake. Absolutely loved
Were
it.
you excited about GTA 5 again, that brand new game from Rockstar that we definitely haven't seen anywhere near? Once again, that looked. I mean, you could see the resolution update there, but you know
Yeah.
that's so recent, and I feel like I played it so many times. I'm like, did it look that way anyway, kind of thing. But I think I could tell it
Yeah.
looked a little bit nicer, and
It looks nicer, but again, March, and that was supposed to
the
be
dump box.
November or something, and I don't know if November was. I can't remember if November was specifically confirmed, but it was supposed to be 2021.
I think it was meant to be November, yeah,
Yeah, and now it's March
like
as
a
well. And
November
it's like,
11th or something like that. I think that rings a bell.
yeah, and we're at the point where, and again, we're going to get negative here. And what is generally a positive discussion about what was a good showcase. I'm fortunate in that I've got an Xbox Series X and a PS5, but I'm looking ahead to
Unfortunately,
the end. I'm looking ahead to the end of the year, and I'm going, well, I've got Forza and I've got Halo coming on Xbox. What's PlayStation's Christmas game?
PlayStation's game is, of course, definitely, which once again made another appearance.
Yeah.
That was, I loved all the memes going around on Twitter. That the true Deathloop is the fact that it's going to be shown in every trailer forever until it's released. I do like the idea. Someone suggested maybe they should just delay it just so it's announced in more trailers forever. No, it's. I mean, what is the game? I mean, obviously. I mean, genuinely.
I mean, I think I might be right. I think it's Deathloop because it was going to be Horizon, then Horizon get put back. It was going to be people could then fall back on and say, okay, well maybe GTA will be enough, but now GTA is not there. It's like, what is the big?
They'll lean into
what is
third
the
party
big
games
thing?
like Far Cry, probably, won't they? A little bit.
Yeah,
They'll probably push stuff like that a little bit.
but it's like it's one of the. It'll probably be the only year. To be fair, next year there'll be enough. This will probably be the only Christmas where Xbox has got unique content and PlayStation
Yeah.
doesn't. But I
Because
wouldn't.
you think about games like Kena, which is coming out soon. That's a little small. It's a smaller game for Kena Bridge of Spirits, which wasn't there, which surprised me actually. I thought, given the fact that that's meant to be coming out in like 2-3 weeks, I thought we would have saw a little bit of that from Ember Lab. But we didn't see that.
But having said that, despite what I said, I wouldn't put much stock in the fact that Xbox will have something, a couple of big games this Christmas, and Sony won't. It's like Sony's still shifting them as fast as they can make them. It's not like they're going to struggle to sell PS5s anyway. As many as they can make, they're selling. So this is the kind of best time to have that issue with their quote unquote no games this Christmas because they don't care. They're shifting the systems anyway. If this was the case in 2024, 2025, then you'd have a problem because everyone would have a PS5 by then. But as it is just now, a lot of people don't have it. Yet, so it doesn't really matter whether there's big games coming out for it at Christmas or not, because most people don't have one anyway. So we'll get they're getting there. They're getting there. It's just this is going to be a slow Christmas for them, I think, software wise at least.
Yeah, my camera just went off there. I apologise to everyone. You just got. I think my other camera died. I'm using a DSLR for the first time, and it definitely it wasn't happy about just disappearing like that. The battery. Apologies. Let me just add the new camera. Sorry, everyone. Just talk amongst yourselves a little bit.
We're all going to stop and stare at you.
There we go. Done. What else was announced? Let me have a look going through. I'm just browsing through PlayStation's YouTube channel. Did you see that little Chia game, however it was pronounced?
That looks quite cute.
It
Is that the
looks
one that started
adorable.
with the guitar playing at the start?
Yeah, the kid playing some adorable songs. I thought it looked lovely, genuinely.
That looked really cool. And we also got a new trailer for Ghostwire Tokyo, but again, no release date.
That is an insane looking game, Ghostwire Tokyo.
It looks incredible.
That is trippy.
And it's just like, when's that coming out? Because they were talking about, the last Sony said was early 2022, and then on the PlayStation blog after posting the new trailer for it, they just said 2022, and you're like, it sounds like that's been delayed as well, but they don't have to say it's been delayed because they never gave a date in the first place. So if it ends up being summer or something, then consider that delayed too, because they originally said early 2022. It sounds like it's another game that's kind of fell victim.
It's COVID at the moment, isn't it? Unfortunately, it's like working from home. It's taken months for companies to adapt to that new way. Ghostwire Tokyo looks fantastic though, so hopefully it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah, and even Xbox is suffering COVID as well. Let's be
Halo.
clear.
Halo's the biggest.
Exactly. That's been delayed a full year from when it was supposed to come out. So it just the way the timing has gone, that it looks like Sony's doing worse, suffering COVID worse than Xbox is, but they both suffered it. It's just the way the timing has been, that some of Xbox's big launch games are only coming out now a year later, and So it's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
That is the way the cookie crumbles.
As they say.
Big one right at the start of the show. Project Eve. Now this looks badass. Genuinely badass. This. Big Bayonetta vibes from this. I think that's probably fair to say, isn't it? Also, other game I've forgotten. Is it Nier Automator? Is that the one big enough? It looks like a love child between those two games.
Definitely.
What was your take on this?
It looks cool. Again, I was writing something as it was on, so I was just kind of briefly glimpsing at it. Because as I was writing, I stopped. I was like, I was literally did say, did Sony get Bayonetta back? But then, yeah, obviously it wasn't. But yeah, it looks fantastic. The odd kind of protagonist design. I wasn't really expecting.
It's going to appeal to people. Let's be honest. They love their waifus over there, don't they? So so it's definitely that.
South Korean, so it makes sense. But yeah, it looks batshit. I'm definitely keen to see more of that. That looks like my kind of
thing. As well, that's another game that definitely benefits from a 4K trailer when you watch it back, because it looks gorgeous, genuinely gorgeous. It looks a lot nicer than it did in the trailer. The actual definitely. For me, the live streams always they render a little bit, so they go a little bit pixely and so on. But when you see the fidelity of it, it looks absolutely crazy. It looks great fun. It looks like a perfect Friday night, just sat there smashing buttons kind of game. And obviously, it looks like Sony pushing it quite a bit as well. Obviously, right at the front end of the front end of the showcase. A big one for them. What was it? Was the release date on that? Once again, I apologise. I should have. I'm doing so many things because it's alive for the first time that I've got my notes hidden away by accident on another tab that I can't open.
Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't remember seeing a release date. But I may have just missed it while I was writing.
I'm just skipping forward to the end of the trailer to see if it said anything. It says Project E. They've only just really announced it, I think. Was that another thing, basically? Is there, what did it say, Project Eve at the end? No release date announced, I don't think. Unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately not. So is it an issue now for Sony, basically, that they only really announced it? But a lot of CGI trailers, a lot of games far out in advance. Is that the negative of this showcase, basically?
I think so. I think if there was one negative, by and large, obviously the response last night was positive, overwhelmingly positive on Twitter. So, as a PR exercise, they've absolutely smashed it perfectly, because all everyone was saying last night was, yes, Sony's done it. So that was fantastic. Blah blah blah. It's only when you sleep on it and then think about it the following day, it's like, yes, that was an excellent showcase in and of itself, but there are still big questions about. And again, the last thing I want to sound like is an entitled gamer, because that's one of the things I hate more than anything else.
Give me games now.
But the question you still have to ask is that it then? Because when you think about it, next year we're talking, as well, go to my cheat sheet to make sure I don't miss anything out. For 2022, basically, Sony Interactive games are Horizon, God of War, Gran Turismo, and that Uncharted collection. That's technically 3 games in a remaster. And then Spider-Man 2, 2023, Wolverine, who knows. That's 3 new games. And also, all 3 of those next year, Horizon and God of War and Gran Turismo, are all coming on PS4 as well. It isn't until Spider-Man 2 in 2023 where you start getting.
Was that exclusive? Did it say it was exclusive? I don't think it will be. I think they'll even put that on PS4 as well. I don't
think so. That would be a bombshell if they did.
Looking at the stock shortages.
By 2023, you would hope they were going next gen only. But
they said, I saw an article the other day, and you guys probably know more than I do, you and Andy, in this, but they're expecting stock shortages up until 2023 and possibly into then as well. In that case, I don't know how many it's sold, and I know it's selling well, the PS5, but you can't compete with the PS4 install base, can they? No, it's not even close. It's a fraction. I might be wrong there, but I wouldn't be surprised if internal pressure.
No, yeah, you might be. Obviously they wouldn't confirm it now, but yeah,
they wouldn't do it.
They might later.
Is it wrong to feel selfish and go that would be a blow? Because I know it's really cruel, and I do think games should be for all, but it's not wrong to at some point want to see the full power of the console unleashed, is it?
Yeah. It's not bad to think that at all. It is a point where once you start getting PS5 exclusives and Xbox Series X and S exclusives, that's when you start seeing, like, Flight Simulator, Ratchet and Clank obviously was an exclusive. Demon's Souls was an exclusive. It's the exclusives that get the most out of the system, and while multi-format ones, obviously God of War looks fantastic as you were saying,
Yeah.
but there's still elements of a game that have to be kept in check in order that they can scale down properly.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah,
never
they
going
have
to
to.
get games with like enormous destructible
Well,
environments or anything like
loading
that.
corridors, for example, we know they're a thing. I mean, if you
Yeah,
haven't played God of War, but that was one of the most notable ones. The amount of times Kratos squeezed through a gap, and like, oh, that gap's. I mean, it's funny that it's
yeah.
God of War for one has to squeeze through that gap, but obviously that's there because the PS4 hasn't got that SSD and it can't load things like that,
Yeah, yeah.
in the way that, for
So
example, you didn't see that on Ratchet and Clank, and
it's
that's
exactly what I was just about to say. Yeah,
yeah,
Ratchet and Clank's Portal stuff. Like, although there was plenty of chat and recently about one of the Traveller's Tales founder put up a video basically saying that you could do that on a PS3, mate. It's like the point is, it was kind of built. It was done properly on PS5
it was
with
probably
actual
maybe
SSD
the point
use.
is that it was made quicker and easier because once
Yeah,
again as well, like they can do it so quickly at the front end of the PS5 launch because the software is that good and they don't have to find. I'm sure you could potentially have two worlds loaded up on another console as well, but the
yeah,
point is, like, I mean, look how quickly they made that game, and got it ready so quickly, and they're already after Miles Morales and after Spider-Man as well. That's the point,
yeah,
and imagine with the time that they
yeah,
got to do it as
definitely.
well, surely.
Yeah, 100%. But you know what the internet's like. That the
Yeah, yeah.
internet just like let down his throat, and it's like, no, he was right, but I get what he's saying. But yeah, the once we start getting the proper PS5 exclusives that aren't on PS4, and no, not that I would say compromises are being made, but no, they aren't having to constantly take a less powerful system into account, because obviously if it's on PS4, it's got to work on base PS4 as well,
Yeah,
not just the PS4 Pro. It's got to work on the console that came out 7-8 years now.
yeah,
It's got to still work on that. So there's some like AI and physics based stuff that's got to kind of um, still have that
yeah, of course, yeah.
compatibility. So yeah, that's the next step we're all waiting for, is the exclusive stuff. And Sony fans will understandably, depending on how fanboyish they are, some of them might defend that and say, oh no, it's just all for everyone, but some of them will also be like, hey, come on, I've spent a lot of money on this thing,
That's how I feel. I'm not trying to be
like,
selfish, but I do feel that way,
and it wasn't easy to find one, and at least
Yeah,
Xbox fans spent a lot of money on theirs as well, but at least Microsoft was upfront at the start saying, look, these games are releasing on multiple formats,
yeah,
and
of course, yeah.
if you want an Xbox, you'll get the best version of it on Series X and Series S, but be aware that for the foreseeable future, the odd game like Flight Simulator aside, we are predominantly seeing Xbox as a platform, an overall
Yeah.
platform, and you can play it on your PC, stream it on your phone, etc. Whereas Sony were pushing at the start, we don't believe in generations, and so everyone was like, "Oh, I better buy a PS5 if I want the next games." And now, as it stands, you don't really need 100% need a PS5 until 2023 now.
It's a good job people can't get one then,
And
isn't it? Basically, it
exactly,
really is.
exactly,
I must admit, like
exactly.
I can't say I'd be lying if I said I hadn't enjoyed my PS5. I mean, I absolutely like look, the Miles Morales of
It's
PS5
fantastic.
does look better. The
Yeah,
controller is incredible. I mean, I'm a recent convert to the Xbox ecosystem. Like,
mhm.
having come from PlayStation 5 to Xbox Series X, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but the
Yeah,
controller is miles ahead in my opinion. I mean, it's genuinely, it knocks it out the park. And of
mhm.
course, once again, Ratchet and Clank's fantastic fun. I've not played Returnal personally. Demon's Souls really good. I'm
Yeah,
enjoying just playing the 4K up res versions with the 60 FPS because they're great fun and they feel like it.
yeah,
For me alone, for example, I replayed Last of Us 2 and that in 60 FPS feels like a different game. It just feels massively different because it obviously
yeah,
opens up. So I've enjoyed my PS5, even if it hasn't been absolutely front loaded with loads of hugely quality games. But I think it's been a good first year. I think it's been an acceptable first year, even if this this holiday season, got to sound too American here, holiday season, Christmas as we call it over here, is a little bit less, I guess, loaded with games. And maybe it's the March. Maybe March becomes true and it all ends up
yeah.
that way. But overall, I think they did enough, didn't they? Even if it wasn't, I don't think it was perfect. I feel like they are. We didn't see, I guess, some of the big studios as well, and we did. But there was definitely some IPs that we know. I mean, there are rumours that apparently when Last of Us, the TV show, comes out on HBO next year, I think it is, that there could have been a Last of Us 1 remake, which is weird.
Mm,
It doesn't seem
yeah,
necessary. But I'm sure that's the kind of thing that if it's going to exist, we'll probably hear a lot closer. Then it'll be like, oh yeah, it's coming. Maybe they'll announce it not at E3 around that time, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Anything else that was meant to be rumored?
There was talk about Twisted Metal.
Oh yeah, I saw that
back,
actually.
because there's a TV series of that on the way. I'm an enormous Twisted Metal fan from back in the day, so I was kind of hoping to see even just like a teaser for that. But nothing
Yeah, it
yet,
would be fun, wouldn't
so fingers crossed. But yeah.
But overall, I think it was a good show. And overall, this hasn't been too bad. It hasn't died. I've got to go because I think I'm going kayaking now. So basically, it's my birthday today. Hence, once for all the stuff you'll be watching now, and it's so my missus has got some kayaking booked. I'm going to have some fun. But thank you for watching our very first ever live episode of VGC Off the Record. These might be going on Twitch eventually. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch. I think it's VGC_live, and Chris will be doing plenty more streams over there. And of course, go and follow us on all the social channels.
Just as a cheap advance promotion, we just received NBA 2K22 on Series X, so I'll probably be streaming some of that over the weekend.
There we go. Are you any good at it? I played an NBA game too, and I was terrible.
Okay. I can get the ball in the thing a couple of times.
Spoken like a true basketball fan there. The ball in the thing, the circular, the globe in the net. Either way, go watch that. That'll be happening this weekend. There's a link in the description below, linking to VGC_live, which is our Twitch channel as well over there. Thank you for watching this. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. And if you're listening as an audio listener, the trailers are shown as well alongside as we put this live on YouTube. So thank you for watching or listening. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. This went pretty smoothly, I think, despite my camera going in the middle of it. I've enjoyed it. Have a good weekend, Chris.
Yep, you too. I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it.
Every second, not just like most of the seconds, all the seconds.
No, the 100% seconds.
100% seconds, which is good stuff. And thank you to Thomas and Delicious Lemons and Danger Man, James Jones, Adam as well, and Alien Shade and my wife Nicola, all in the chat as well. Hopefully there'll be a growing community there. It's good to see you all. We try and go live at a similar time every Friday, I reckon, for consistency. We haven't worked that out yet, but we will do. But now, though, guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you all very soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. See you later, guys.
Cheers, guys.